Good evening, everybody. We're going to get started with the highlight of the evening, the Artist Talk. Thank you for coming out and supporting this wonderful body of work. We are so excited to have this artist, and Art Suite back in the gallery. This is our 5th Art Suite show that we've had here at Wilson Arts, and I would like to welcome our last year's Mr. Jack Early is in the building, so let's give Jack. Thank you, Jack. Alan Jr., Alan Thomas Jr., Art Suite, Marjorie Hodges, thank you so much for all your support and bringing these wonderful artists back to Wilson, and people will come. This show is up until April 24th. If you are interested in a purchase, please see me or Rosalind. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Dee Dee Oliver. I'm the visual arts coordinator here at Wilson Arts. And now it's time for the man of the hour. He's going to do an artist talk, and then we're going to have a Q&A afterwards. So please get your questions ready, and I'll introduce you to Mr. Michael Perry.
Thank you. And hello. Can we get the mic done? First off, some gratitudes. I want to thank Dee Dee, who is just a stunner artist, installer, all-around support system for me for the past year. Alan Thomas and Marjorie Hodges at Art Suite, gratitude for friendship, support, and sponsoring this show. The Wilson Art Center for the gift of your time and this wonderful, wonderful space. And to Mirza, my husband. My gifted manager, much loved, and a master of herding cats. Art is theft. Pablo Picasso. David Bowie answered when asked if he thought he was an original. Hardly. I'm more of a tasteful thief. And Andrew Gide said, everything that needs to be said has already been said, but nobody was listening, so everything has to be said again. And finally, for the Bible, nothing new under the sun. For me, this all points to that we are shaped and fashioned by what we love, embracing and influences, copying what we love. And in copying, we learn it's nothing more than reverse engineering. Our whole lives have taken on that which we admire, love, and strive for. I sometimes use the practice of copying paintings that I admire, adding something perhaps, or just trying to figure out what the artist was doing and somehow absorb it into my own practice. There's a piece in here that's the yellow and red, very geometric, and it's a copy of Frank Stella's Marrakesh with a little added touch from me. And I do Agnes Martin, just to figure out what people were doing and just to get the feel of it. My influences are a crazy mixture of artists, cultures, design theories, color theories, atomic physics, observations, and intuition. I grew up being fascinated by Pablo Picasso from seeing him first in Life magazine in the early 60s. That was that great photo of him defiantly in front of his house with a blanket over one arm and his dog in the other one in his underwear. At that time, Picasso paintings were everywhere. You just saw them everywhere. Guernica was in the World Trade Center, not the World Trade Center, but the United Nations building. You often saw the very simple hand holding the single flower in most of the demonstrations against the Vietnam War at that time. And then came Andy. Warhol was a revelation for me, and in some odd way it all made sense in the 60s. The Brillo boxes, the soup cans, the movie stars, All seemingly mundane images became art. He showed us that we were always surrounded by art. My fascination with art and artists continued in my childhood and then flourished when I was in the 10th grade. It was 1969 and I became a hippie. Artistic expression was everything and everywhere. Music, painting, dance, fashion, and curating your life and surroundings was your artistic expression. Then came the 70s. Political turmoil, Vietnam, I was in the Navy, the draft, bad disco, and Nixon. When I got out of the Navy, I spent 2 years in San Francisco and learned the shocking lesson of artistic competition. It resulted in the realization that the businessification of the art world, and Andy was way ahead of us on that one, and the death of my artistic romance that tainted me for years, so I became a cook. During the next 40 years, I dedicated myself to the often creative world of the food industry and learned the grist of hard work and expression from concept to completion. I was still painting. In fact, I even ran a non-commissioned gallery in a restaurant that I was partnering in for 16 years. I did a lot of installations because I liked that you put it together, you put it up, you took it apart, and then you never saw it again. I didn't have a lot of time just for painting due to the nature of the business. The last 10 years I've been in overdrive. Thankful for the years of ideas, fortitude, and never losing that vision that excited that little boy leafing through Life magazine. My recent work has been a culmination of ideas and influences that fascinate me. I decided to create the Joy Project. Joy is such a nebulous word that was really difficult to nail down exactly. The closest I've come is that ah moment. That moment when the mind is almost silent and seems to be smiling. It's a thrill you feel all over, and it can bring you to tears. I explored many studies on joy, the definition of joy, the feeling, the theories on joy design and color, what shapes make us joyful, the colors that bring us joy. Spheres and circles top the list of joy shapes. If there are a lot of spheres, then there's a feeling of abundance, which brings joy. Think of confetti. This led to my exploring atomic physics, because just as the shape of the atom, the abundance of atoms sings joy. And there are only 118 known types of atoms, so that means that our bodies, the room that we're in, the air that we breathe, the whole planet is all interconnected. We're all the same. And to top it off, atoms are 99.9999999% empty space. That totally deflates the impact when somebody says that we are nothing. I'm also an ardent amateur. I mean amateur in the truest definition. The roots of amateur are French and mean lover. Someone who loves something. Unfortunately, over the years, the word has become to be defined as unprofessional or even worse, unskilled. I choose to stick with lover. I'm an amateur of joy. Thank you.
Any questions?
Okay.
Oh, come on, he was looking forward to this part.
Lucy.
Have you ever seen so much of your work arrayed together before?
No,
And
only in
what's-
stacks.
What's that experience like?
It's overwhelming. And Dee Dee did such a beautiful job. This is the only thing that I hung myself. And Dee Dee did the rest. And I trusted her completely, and my trust was just highly rewarded. This is just a gorgeous presentation of the work.
And Michael, I'm curious if certain colors mean certain things to you.
For years I've worked with Van Gogh's There Is No Blue Without Yellow or Without Orange. So those are three colors that I work a lot with. And also you'll notice that red is a big one for me, but I'm all over the place with colors. But I would have to say orange is one of my favorite colors, but then also pink and international blue and goes
Great job today here, and this is a lovely, amazing space, so kudos to the support team. The question specifically about the pink arrangement that's called Splitting Apart.
Uh-huh.
Can you tell us about where the origin of that, or if there's any meaning behind it? It stands out special to me when I look at it, and I'm just curious from the artist's perspective.
Splitting Apart was my first triptych, and that was when I had the very noble ambition of doing a painting for each hexagram of the I Ching, which there's 64 hexagrams. That's why it's called Holding Together. That's one of the hexagrams. I think I made it to about 40 something, and then just okay, stupid, I'm not going to do this anymore. But that I just liked the idea. I was doing a lot of paintings with just the systematic of the dots coming out, and then I would do marks on the canvas of where dots would not be. And the way it stands out or goes into the background just fascinated me. And I wanted it big, so that's why I turned it into a triptych. Because I did some smaller. I always do, a lot of my paintings I'll do smaller ones just to check out how the colors work, how the design works, and go from there. But no really big special meaning unless it means something to you. That's another thing. I don't explain my paintings a whole lot because I think that takes from you as a viewer create, as much as I created. So, yes.
First of all, congrats, beautiful.
Thank you.
Which one of the painting came out unplanned? Which was what you were thinking, but it came out different and you were amazed by it?
Oh, that's probably all of them. A lot of them I have no idea, especially a lot of the very simple pointillist work. That kind of takes on a life of its own as I'm doing it. I do have things that I'd like to do, but it just, the nature of the points and the dots is they'll naturally interconnect with each other, just like atoms do in molecules. They'll just kind of get together. This, I was in a residency in Mexico City, and these are based on my memories growing up of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And that was something very specific. The one directly behind you with the bright colors, that's part of the guys. Yeah, that's the one. That's the guys. The guys just popped up. Those two similar ones were the first two, and then they kept growing. And the guys, I just call them the guys because they're these guys. Yes.
Are you inferring that this is a 10-year body of work?
It's actually a 4 to 5 years.
Wow.
I've been busy. This was done a month before the show.
Wow.
But it took a month. And this is the first time I've ever put it all together. My studio is very, very small. I could only do 5 rows at a time. So this is the first time I ever saw it all together.
Wow.
Yes.
Michael, is there a particular piece of the canvas, like a quadrant or the center, that you find yourself starting in when you begin a new work?
No.
Varies every time. Okay.
Some of them, like the really extremely pointillist ones, like the ones in the back that are just, that single line. That
Yeah.
single line in the middle
Yeah.
is the starting point, and then
Okay.
it just grows
Goes
from
out from
there.
there.
And
Okay.
the pink ones, same thing.
Okay.
That you can see the middle point in that, and it just worked its way out.
Okay.
Yes.
And you have some that are pointillism and some that are shapes. Is
Yes.
there a chronological evolution from one to the next? Or?
Taking a break from. That's usually what it is. The guys just kind of came up. That's why that first one, that wall, the big one, it's called Breakthrough because it was kind of a breakthrough. Just out of the blue, this painting happened. And all of a sudden, the guys just spurned a lot of other guys, just like the Pointless stuff. And then there's some, the shaman paintings that they just keep birthing new shaman paintings. Just keep growing. Yes.
First of all, absolutely entrancing and amazing. And so reflective of the universe of which you speak. Thank you for creating this so we can see it. We want to show. And your outfit blends so nicely with the
Nice pants.
My husband dresses me.
But really my question is more practical. Like, I'm just like imagining that you holding a tool an hour or breaks in between, creating these dots on one's eyes and eyesight, standing, sitting, the practicality of making this volume and body of work. Has that taken a toll on you?
Not
Or
really.
how do you manage that? Especially your hand.
My vision a bit.
Okay.
It's just like the Chinese, the blind stitching that the women did and eventually went blind. I've noticed this last year, I'll be working on something, especially on this one, that all of a sudden I can't focus for a few seconds. And all I have to do is look away and then come back. But when I use very cheap paintbrushes, cut off the tip, blunt, and get the right consistency of the paint, and I can get 4 dots at a time.
This is a system.
You're welcome to count. This was tough because it was done on the floor. I had to do it on the floor. And most everything in my studio, I have nails on the wall so I can hang things.
Yeah.
But then a lot of the pointless stuff, just the nature of the paint, it has to be almost flat to stay. If I tried to do that on the wall, that might be a nice effect.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think it's interesting the marriage of science and art, and we spoke about atoms and just like looking at your pieces. A lot of them look like you're looking at a cell or something from a microscope.
Yep.
And you just seem to have a lot of wonder because I think to be in awe of that takes a certain spirit. So I just wanted you to speak more to that.
It's, like I said, it led to kind of like, I'm a huge sci-fi fan. And I like hard science fiction. But that was my great interest in atomic structure. Once it was clear and explained and I studied it, came to the conclusion, it freaks me out thinking, this is all the same thing. I mean, it's just different densities and stuff, but it's all the same thing. And it's 99.9999 empty space. I think it was explained once that it was like if you put an orange in a football stadium. That was the nucleus, and the stadium would be kind of the atom shape, but everything else is just nothing. And I know that frightens some people. For some reason, it fascinates me. It fascinates me. You get to space, there's nothing there. It's nothing. But yeah, I love science, and that was what kind of got me on the Joy project, is they're using studies on design and color for schools and stuff. There's a great TED Talk, and I can't remember her name, but all you got to do is TED Talk and Joy. And she gives this great talk about studying. She didn't know what joy meant either. And she did a great talk on how certain designs, it's kind of shameful how we live in these blocks and sharp corners and stuff, because sharp corners unconsciously your brain it's danger. It's danger. That's why a sphere, a circle is kind of joyful, or it gives us feeling of comfort. I mean, it's hard to explain, but yeah, I'm fascinated by it. And I hope I can illustrate it, yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
When you're doing the Joyology and all of this, did all of this come together in that? To me, it feels like it's so easy for people to express themselves when they're in an angry mood or a down mood or depressed or something, and it's harder for a lot of artists to paint something joyful. But is that a point of like intention, when
It's
you were
my
doing
whole
all of these?
That's my whole goal. I want to make people happy.
They're so beautiful.
Well, thank you. It's just, I have a chant I kind of say to myself that I produce paintings that bring joy.
Did you draw this entire thing out first, or did that come out organically?
No, I
You
started.
said, earlier you said you build from basically where you started.
There's this one line that was the center line that goes all the way through.
Uh-huh.
That was the starting point, and then everything else is brought in. It's always a single line comes in first. And that's what I say. Is a lot of times when I'm doing these, they take on a life of their own, and I have no idea what they're going to look like until I'm done.
Do you start with pencil?
No.
Just paint? Wow. That's cool.
Yes, handsome fellow.
I heard
Wow.
finally, I heard from your manager that you're thinking about a coffee table book. Is that
Really? You'll have to talk to my manager.
Where can I pre-order that?
Yeah, where do we pre-order?
So you said you did this in blocks of 5. Are we doing work? Which 5?
Which
Oh. I would lay it out like this would be a section. Then I'd have to take the last row, put that first, and then do the next section, so we would continue the pattern.
So literal.
Yeah, it's about a 5 and then
25.
And then just when you're not in that joyful mood, how do you get from there to joyful?
He's pretty joyful.
Ah. I don't think I've ever painted angry. I don't think I've ever painted sad. I listen to books while I paint too, and that keeps me. There's like 2 levels of things going on at the same time. But yeah, no. My goal is to make people happy.
What types of books are you listening to?
I listen to a lot of science fiction. And what am I listening to now? Oh, Art is Theft, which is...
Any more questions?